Good afternoon, friends. I request all of you take a seats, please. So, friends, we are having our very exciting session today by Mr. Pratik. He is working as a director with Ernst& Young, India's automotive consultative practice company, with over 15 years of experience in the automotive sector. He has extensive experience of working with multiple OEMs and large dealer groups in the area of sales, marketing, after sales, digitization, future of mobility, profitability improvement, diversification, etc. in India and globally. He has pioneered multiple retail transformation initiatives with over 200 plus dealer interventions across various OEM brands till date. He is a rank holder chartered accountant by profession and also has completed his MA in economics and CIMA from London. Over to Pratik. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Pradeep ji, for the kind introduction. It's good to see at least the house getting filled, because we had a lot of confusion of where the session is going to be, whether it is going to be downstairs or here in Jahangir. But I think it's good to see the community after a long time, and definitely I would like to congratulate FADA and its members to make this event grand and also so much participative. A lot of people I heard were asking for tea. I'm not sure whether Pradeep ji will manage to arrange the tea or not, but I'll at least try and make sure that I'll make up for that and keep you awake by keeping the session as interesting as possible. So without further ado, what we want to focus today is essentially how can dealers, because a lot of times you are always at the receptive end. There is somebody from OEM coming and telling you something. There is someone, a lot of times consultants like us come and tell you something. A lot of times you hear from your colleagues who come and tell you something, do this, that, etc. But how, as entrepreneurs and custodians of your own business, can take control of your own profitability? And definitely when we talk about dealerships, at the end of the day, it boils down to money. I mean, we can debate a lot of things. It is about customer experience, it is about this, that. But at the end of the day, our primary objective is money, because we are here to make money. And that's a fact that no one can debate as such. So our focus in today's session is also going to be that. But at the same time, we also need to understand that the way world is changing, around us, how do we mend our ways of doing business? How do we try and adopt some of the innovative ways to drive our business? And that is what the session will largely focus on. I'll not get into the agenda, but I'll immediately start off with a slide presentation. So what we'll do, we'll maybe spend 20-25 minutes for the presentation, and post that I would urge if you can do the Q&A, because then it will ensure that we cover the presentation, and then we can do a Q&A. If there is any pressing question, definitely do a show of hand and I'll be happy to take that question as well. Okay, before we start, let's take a poll. One second. You will have to just open up your mobile phones, not to check your messages or WhatsApp updates, but I would urge you to log in on a website called menti.com, www.menti.com. And whatever comes to your mind in terms of, the pandemic has been a very big turning point in the way our business is running, in the way entire automotive ecosystem or, buying in automotive has changed. So what are your biggest profitability challenges that you have seen post the pandemic? I would urge you to go on menti.com, and there is a code that you will have to enter, which is 43342949. And whatever comes to your mind, you can start typing and submitting your responses. 43342949. It's written over here. Are you able to log in? Perfect. You'll have to submit your responses. Yeah, now we are starting to get few responses. Interesting. Inventory carrying cost, manpower cost. I see manpower, coming multiple times. Efficiency, body shop, bank. Interesting. We've seen actually banks tightening a lot of, scrutiny around, before, giving any loans, which was maybe a little easier before pandemic. Productivity, return per rupee, fantastic. OEM pressure, financial immunity, unpredictable. I think that's the world we are living in today. We really don't know what's the next crisis is going to be. A month back, we were again fearing whether COVID is going to strike us again. But again, today we are a little okay. But there is some new virus which is running around, but it is still not COVID. But that's the world we are living in, and how we are gonna, prepare ourselves to overcome this unpredictability around us is definitely important. Thank you for your responses. And I think that is what is setting the context for the session, that how are we going to overcome all these challenges. It's definitely not easy to overcome everything, but we have to just focus on what are the things in our control and what are the things that we can influence to make sure our business remains profitable as such. I think we've just looked at few of the responses. So there are a lot of complexities that you are dealing today. A lot of them are internal, which we saw around manpower, which we saw around productivity, which we saw around how do I tap into new allied sources that I have, how do I maintain my workshop profitability. A lot of times one thing that we've observed is dealers are a lot more internal focused, and they are trying to grapple with internal firefighting and complexities. But at the same time, you need to be up to speed on what is happening externally. Now, there are lots of other changes that are impacting you which you are not aware, but as dealer principals, as business heads, it's important that you are also aware of what are the things that are impacting you from an external standpoint. Is it your compete who's being very aggressive in supporting their dealers, which are actually helping them sell more vehicles? Is it the kind of technology changes that are happening around you, which maybe your teams are not aware of, or are not aware of how to communicate it to the end customer? How digitalization is helping businesses drive efficiency and effectiveness, or automation? Are you imbibing all of those when you are doing your own business? We are also seeing a lot of disruption happening in the way automotive retail is happening today. We have the likes of Ola, who are doing selling vehicles without a dealership. And I'm sure there is somewhere at the back of your mind that, is my OEM also going to change the business model tomorrow? Am I going to act as an agent? Am I going to act as a person who's just going to carry inventory? So we have to be mindful of all the external complexities also, that are impacting you, because then you'll get a complete perspective of, the kind of measures you will take, and how am I addressing both my internal as well as external complexities. These are few questions. I think we've covered all of them, rather most of them, that what are things which are impacting you? Whether I'm selling but I'm not making money. So my sales are happening as far as numbers are concerned, but they are not happening as far as the quality of sale is concerned. I'm not making enough money per car or per vehicle that I'm selling, right? A lot of times we focus on just liquidating, but we don't focus on selling AMCs, we don't focus on selling accessories, we don't focus on selling insurance, etc. We are just bothered about targets and achievements because there is someone who is asking me and bugging me daily that, okay, where are you as far as your targets are concerned. But as DP, you have to be very focused and make sure you are here to make money. Even if I sell 10 units less, it's okay. But I'll make sure that whatever I'm selling, I'm getting the quality of sale as well, ensured, so that I make the same amount of money which I would have made by selling additional 20 vehicles at lower margin as such. This is where you can ask yourselves. These are few of the questions that should come to your mind. That what is it that I have to be doing to be future ready? I think the theme of the entire session is how can I be fit and future ready. The first thing is focus on process and systems. 4 or 5 years prior, we were living in a world that we didn't have to actually take a lot of effort to sell a vehicle or get customers in our workshop. But today we have realized the importance of processes. We have realized the importance of CRM, DMS, and also your OEMs, your principals are also somewhere encouraging you to adapt these systems and new processes. And please, our request will be imbibe and make sure all that process orientation is also flowing down the line to your team as well, because tomorrow when you're managing a lot of data, when you're managing a bunch of inquiries today, India has just overtaken Japan to become third largest automotive market in the world. But the difference now between the third and the second is quite huge, and India still has that potential to achieve that. Tomorrow, today you are selling 100 vehicles, 5 years down the line you'll be selling 500 vehicles maybe a month. We don't know that, because India has that potential. And when the number becomes, the multiplier is changing so exponentially, it is important that you have control, and that's where systems and processes come into play. Digital, we hear digital a lot, and that's where systems etc are also important, but how well I'm connected digitally with my customers, that is more to do with my outside interface, and how I'm imbibing digital in my in-house operations. Am I automating certain things? Am I embracing few advanced ways of accounting? Am I imbibing some advanced ways of managing my back-end operations, my back office team? And that's where a lot of digital interventions can also help you. Third thing, from an after-sales perspective, a lot of times again our focus is on, okay, there is a vehicle which is lying idle, there are 10 complaints I'm managing. So as a DP, half of my time is actually spent to manage complaints of some of my premium customers or top high-end customers as such. But at the same time, I don't have visibility that over the last 10 years I have sold close to maybe 10,000 vehicles or 5,000 vehicles. How many of those 5,000 customers are today coming in my workshop? Have you asked this question to yourself? First thing you need to ask is, do I even have that data with me? Because those are my customers, my relationship doesn't end there. And I have to make sure those 5,000 customers are my own customers, and are they coming back to me in the workshop? Because if you don't ensure that, the next time that person wants to buy another vehicle, you will have zero control over that. So you don't know where is he going to your co-dealer? Is he going to some other brand? Is he happy with your vehicle? Is he not happy with your vehicle? So customer retention is the most important topic today in after sales. And that's where definitely you tend to make more money. So if you can shift your focus from just day-to-day operations to actually these broader parameters of customer retention, that will also help you make sure that you are managing the whole operation very well, and you are optimizing your potential of workshop as such. We tend to talk about customer experience. We tend to talk about delivering the right amount of exceptional experience. That's where we can differentiate ourselves, etc. But even in customer, how many of you have heard about this term customer lifetime value? Can anyone just do and can you explain what does it mean?
The number of transaction customer does from us over calculated life period, say 5 years. So once is a workshop, like an average time, how many times you will visit to our workshop? It can be twice in our case, and thrice, 2 for mechanical service, 1 for body shop. So what's an average labor miles going on, and also for the insurance renewal, what are the accessories he might buy after 3 years? So I have to see his 5 years, the number of transactions I will be having with him, number of contacts I will be having with him monetary. So
correct.
Apart from the reference.
Correct. Anyone wants to add on top of this?
Like the total value the customers is giving to the dealership over a period of time.
Total value, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Monetary value if I put it.
Share of wallet.
The revenue that the dealership gets in a full cycle, like from the selling of the vehicle to is the disposal of the vehicle. So new transactions.
Perfect. So absolutely. So we are looking at the entire ownership cycle, and not only the ownership of the first vehicle that he has bought from you, the second, the third, the fourth, all. And not only the transactions, but the kind of money I've been able to make by exchanging his vehicle, by selling that vehicle to somebody else as well. Now, just tell us, how many of you are able to do this today? No. Do you know the CLTV, the customer lifetime value of your customers today? The answer is no. Now, that's the power of data. That's the power of right from the time I'm capturing an inquiry. You have to imbibe in your team that if I start capturing the inquiry and I tag that inquiry to the right source, if that inquiry is an existing customer of mine, it has to be tagged to an existing customer. Otherwise, I'll never be able to see that this guy has come back to me for a repurchase. If I tag it to a walk-in, I will never understand that this is a repeat purchase customer. And that's where a lot of initiatives that are being taken by OEM are driven towards this. This helps you optimize your marketing spend. This helps you optimize, retain your customer, get references, make sure the engagement quotient is also high. Not only the transaction becomes the monetary part. But to make those transactions happen, it is important that the engagement part is also intact. Otherwise, the customer will not just come to you for a service and all of that. You have to make sure you know him or you know his birth date. As simple as that. A message is also good enough, right? You don't have to necessarily call up. And that's where entire customer lifetime value, and that should be your vision, that this is where I want to reach. And to do that, whatever is required, I have to essentially, embark upon that. Used vehicle as a business. We have seen that a lot of dealers are still not leveraging that potential. Definitely the dealers who are leveraging, you'll see a very big delta. The dealers who are actively doing used vehicle trade-in and sales. What we have seen is a lot of people exchange, but they give it off to brokers. Well, that's the easiest way to do, right? I get 3,000-4,000 rupees and I'm happy. But if you just maintain that vehicle for 10 days, you have a potential to make at least 3 or 4 times of that money. I mean, these are all basic concepts. I know all of you know it, but in essence, if it is happening or not is something that you have to evaluate. And similarly, allied revenue sources, whether it is accessories, whether it is as simple as an AMC package, whether it is warranty, extended warranty, make sure you are putting in enough manpower, enough effort essentially to make that happen as well. It's not only about sales and after sales, it's also about all these allied, services or businesses from which you can make money as such. This is just for your reference. What are the key levers? Now we've looked at, at a broad level, what all things you have to focus on. But if I have to break the levers that I need to focus on between planning levers, what are my few of the revenue and income drivers, and what are my cost and productivity drivers? Now, as simple as, am I doing budgeting in my business? That I want to spend only 5 lakh rupees on marketing because my target is 100 and I can make money which is sufficient to do 5 lakh, worth of marketing only. And that budget I am giving to my marketing person. And I'm telling you have 5 lakhs, you manage, but you have to generate so many inquiries. Today what we do, after the month is over, then we sit with him, how much did you spend? What is the ROI? But is the same activity I'm trying to do at the beginning. So that basic planning, budgeting, course correction during the month. On revenue and income drivers, I think we've discussed a lot of them on used vehicles, on UIO retention, on parts and labor revenue, and on cost on productivity also, we've discussed, or rather we will discuss in detail on how you can look at optimizing your manpower, how can you look at optimizing your working capital, etc. We'll try and give you a structured framework of now looking at your business in the subsequent slide. And while you are, analyzing your profitability, it's not only about, the end number that you make. It's not only about, I made 2% of my, sales as my profitability. You also need to see your liquidity. How much cash I have today? If tomorrow a crisis like COVID comes, do I have enough cash to sustain my business? Right? Tomorrow, if I want to expand, if I want to set up another outlet, is my balance sheet looking good where banks will be eager to give me money? Today we are behind banks to give us money a lot of times. But if I'm managing my balance sheet also very well, if I'm managing my debt to equity well, if I'm managing my reserves well, if I'm managing my working capital really well, that's what banks really look at. If I'm doing that, then banks will be behind you to give finance, not the other way around. How many assets I'm creating, during the course of my business. Benchmarking is also very important. A lot of times we say that, I am doing the best. No one can come and, teach me, or no one can come and tell me I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. But no, that's an illusion that we are living in. There is always a scope of improvement, even if it is 1%. Try and benchmark yourselves with not only, co-dealers within your brand, but also with dealers which are not part of your brand. I think that's where you will learn a lot, and you don't have to depend on others to actually come and tell you what needs to be done, what need not be done. And trial and error. and iterating. That's also very important. A lot of times, a lot of initiatives you can take without putting in a lot of money. You just have to experiment, see if it is working, not working, okay, let's switch to something else, right? So benchmarking also becomes important. So what I wanted to do was, it's not only about profitability, but you also need to be mindful of all the other elements which are important for your business from an expansion perspective, from a liquidity perspective, also from a perspective of how can I be the benchmark for others, rather than I learning from others. How can I become the benchmark for others, where people are actually coming to me and trying to learn as much as possible. Let's take another poll. I think we've discussed a lot on what kind of challenges we have, etc. I would actually like to hear from you as well, in terms of what is it that you are doing today, and maybe in this room we have 50-60 people. Can we learn from each other? So if you could just give something on what are few of the innovative things you are doing today to improve your profitability. It could be automation, it could be digitalization, it could be maybe you have entered some new business, like on the ground floor there is a session on scrappage. We raise your hand and say I've started a scrappage collection center. Possible, right? Because that is giving me another line of business. So again, I would urge you to go back to Menti and put this code. (433) 42949. What are some of the innovative levers? I mean, try and be innovative here, because we really don't want to listen that I'm increasing my sales, I'm putting, I'm giving incentives, etc. These are all things that all of us have been doing. We would like to learn, new and innovative things of what we are not doing. Master data optimization, fantastic. Accessories and lifestyle. Used vehicles, loyalty program, spare parts optimization, a very an area which is typically which has a lot of scope to arrest leakage. A lot of leakage actually happens in the spare parts area, and if we can put right processes and controls, a lot of leakage can be reduced and a lot of spare parts inventory can be optimized over there. Customer engagement, value added services, manpower retention, debtor control. Very, very interesting. I mean, I would hats off to the person who has written this. You've seen dealers who are doing fantastic in sales, who are doing fantastic in after sales, who are right at the top of the balance scorecard. But when we look at the balance sheet and when we look at their liquidity, they are actually firefighting to put money or get money to manage their expenses. And when we get into the details of that, we understand that they have a lot of customers, reference customers to whom they give credit. They have some fleet customers, or they have few customers to whom they give credit for service, or they just release the vehicle for delivery and then they'll say, okay, you can pay us later once the DO comes, etc. But there is no one to monitor the collection aspect. For the sales guy, it is easy. He's done his number. After sales guy doesn't care because he got a call and he released the vehicle without getting the payment in, and he's focusing on the next vehicle which is going to come to the workshop. And when we see the debtors amount and the aging of debtors, it is more than 30 days, more than 60 days. And with that money, I can actually procure another 50 vehicles. Very interesting. Monthly balance sheet, data cleaning. Great. So I think very, very good insights over here. Lean spare stock, again, very interesting. Employee satisfaction. Now let's see if I am able to add a few in this, in what you are doing today. And this is where I would like you to, this is our way of looking at dealers' effectiveness. And this is the framework that you can look at to leverage or to assess the way you are managing your dealership today. On one angle, you have multiple functions within the dealership. There are a few customer-facing functions, right, who are dealing with your customers, whether it is your sales, after sales, your retail finance, your insurance, your CRM, your marketing teams. There are a lot of non-customer-facing functions at the back end, whether it is your accounts, your IT, your HR, your manpower, RTO, logistics. Now, how do I look at these functions? I need to evaluate all these functions on broadly 4 lenses. One is the process lens. You know, how efficient are the processes in all these functions. Second is tools and technology. Am I leveraging enough digital? Am I leveraging enough systems? And am I leveraging enough data to manage my all these functions? For example, if it's CRM team, are they still using hundreds of Excel sheets? And tomorrow one CRE leaves, she takes away those 50 Excel sheets along with her, and all your data is left along with her. Or now you started managing a basic CRM portal of the OEM or maybe your own, which you can definitely get. You can subscribe to such tools as well if OEM is not has not given it. And have you started managing data within your servers and within your control? As simple as that. Third is the organization and people lens. How many people are managing that particular function? A lot of times, has anyone heard of front office to back office ratio?
That was a question I wanted to ask you. Is there a benchmark to how many should be in the back end and how many are in the front?
So there is a benchmark. Typically it is 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 at max. So if I have one person in the front end, I can have max 2 people in the back end.
What is that back end?
The non-customer facing function. So if I have say 50 people who are part of my after sales or part of my sales or part of my CRM, the front end, who are dealing with the customers.
This is for sales only, not for service.
Everything all put together. This is an average number. For service it will be a little higher. That's the No, that's the max you can have. Yeah, that's the max. You can't go beyond that.
But sometimes
See, back office here includes everybody, the drivers, the security, everybody. So if you really sit and do that mathematics, you will see that all of them will actually add up to that.
What about technicians? They are what?
Back end.
That is, they are back.
They are back end, yes.
But sometimes when we have to follow the OEM protocol, when
Mhm.
it comes to a manpower thing or in the process, we cannot just put in our own processes or anything in it. We cannot deviate because our balance scorecard or whatever KPI index are based on the numbers of.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So when we talk about all these parameters, how we navigate them.
Absolutely.
They might be this kind of friendly, they might not be this friendly.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially when it comes to manpower ratio or in a process trial or in adherence or this thing. So how do we make our own path in that?
Absolutely. Very, very valid question. That's why I said the back office. Now, OEMs don't regulate how many people you keep in back office. No, CREs again are part of front end, sir. But the how many delivery guys I have, how many delivery coordinators I have, how many PDI inspectors, or how many RTO people I have. So these are all part of your back office. Yeah, absolutely. The customer facing thing, why OEMs focus on, because that's where your people are interacting with customers who are representing the brand. Right? Yes, yes. No. So the basic underlying principle is you have to comply with the OEM standards. I can't stand here and say don't comply because I represent OEMs also, right? But you have to make sure that you are managing your operations by complying with OEM standards, and then you focus more on the productivity of those people. It might happen that you might feel that, okay, I don't really need so many people. Either you fight that battle out with them saying I am still managing everything, can I look at reducing people, or you can look at then improving the productivity of those people or realigning the role of those people as well.
Suppose instead of a number, if we cap on say the salary capping, because definitely the front end will be more expensive and the back end
Yes.
will be cheaper for me.
Yes.
In a broader perspective.
Very, very cheap, yes.
So when we talk about a salary ratio, what is an optimized salary ratio we are talking about? Suppose if my total organization salary is 100 rupees,
Mhm.
what should be an ideal ratio between in this concept the front end and the back end?
So front end, I won't have an exact number, but 70% should go to your front end and 30% to your back end. Can you, sorry, I missed your question. Can you start again? Mm-hmm. So basically, I'll tell you. I'll tell you the mathematics. Then you can figure out the ratio, for your own. Now, if I am incentivizing somebody, I expect him to sell minimum, few vehicles, say 4 vehicles. That is your basic target, for example. And the moment you sell a little more, I'll start paying you more. Right? That's what typically, the mathematics we try and use to, put our incentives as such. So here you have to see how much you are paying that person every month, right? And how much eventually I'll be paying through salary and my incentives. Now, if I just take the double of it, say I'm paying 20,000 and he's making me 40,000, it's not going to be sufficient, right? Because in that additional 20,000, you'll have to maybe pay a few incentives to him only. Then how will you recover other operating expenses? So that has to be at least 4 times, 3 to 4 times at least. Again, I'm giving you a base parameter. And then on top, how much you can leverage and get money, because in sales that becomes my direct contributor to my margin. There is nobody else who is helping me generate margin as such. And then from that additional whatever 4 times I'm making, I'm able to cater to my other expenses, and I'm also able to keep some money for myself, right? So that's how you can look at managing that aspect. But these are good ways of thinking how my structure should be. Absolutely. And if you have mathematics behind every number that you are shelling out, that's what will really help you. And then the 4th layer is on KPIs, metrics and measurement. A lot of KPIs are given by the OEMs to manage the part of the balance scorecard, etc. But most of them are related to their performance parameters, whether it is sales target achievement, whether it is after sales throughputs. But very limited parameters are related to profitability. So for you as a DP or as a business head, it's important that you also start monitoring, or make sure you are focusing on monitoring few of the profitability KPIs as well, right? Yeah, I'll just come to that.
Any software or tools which your dealer can use to get all these data, because we have a data and normally all our dealers are using Tally as a
Yes.
for inventory and for other purposes.
Yes.
But in Tally we do not get that whole picture. It is like only the balance sheet that we get. But is there any software that can help us in doing that, or any company who helps us in doing that?
So there are, but you'll have to customize it to suit your own requirements. There will be few portals which can help you map your Tally data. So you can integrate Tally data, but for that integration to happen, you'll have to first map out the chart of accounts. The marketing cost as per the portal should talk to the 10 items of marketing cost which you have classified on your own. Everyone has a different way of looking at marketing cost. So that is what you can do. And to start with, you can also create a basic Excel template, and few KPIs I'll be sharing with you today as well. And once you automate that, and you just have to do a copy paste in that template, again from a dealer standpoint, it becomes easier for you to manage it. And then automatically the KPIs will start falling in place. I'll not get into the details of the framework, but these are the 4 lenses which you should keep in mind when you're evaluating each and every function. The process, again I'll repeat, process, the tools and technology, the organization and people, and the KPIs related to that function. Once you have this broader view, then you can start mending your ways of thinking whenever you are taking in a decision, or whenever you are putting some money in setting up or behind a particular function as such. I think a few of us were interested in looking at KPIs. So these are few KPIs that you can look at. Maybe when we are sharing this presentation, maybe we'll add few more. Right now we've given few illustrative KPIs. Debtor days. Now we look at inventory days, but do we look at debtor days? The entire cash to cash cycle. How much time it takes for me to give 100 rupees and get 100 rupees back, right? Demo vehicles, another area where a lot of money actually goes out. We are not aware of that. And is my demo vehicle making me enough money or not? How many test drives it is giving? How many fuel is it consuming? Am I maintaining the demo vehicle properly or not? Interest cost, service absorption ratio. This is, I hope, service absorption ratio as a KPI. A lot of you are monitoring. That takes into account all the money that I'm making in service, and am I able to manage all my expenses of the dealership through my service income? my return on sales. This is essentially, the PBT or EBITDA, or, the way you have defined it, debt to equity ratio. So these are, few financial KPIs that you can look at. But every KPI, and apart from this, obviously your manpower cost percentage, your manpower productivity, so a lot of these operating KPIs are also covered here. So one thing you need to look at is every financial KPI has some operating KPI that is impacting that financial KPI. If I talk about interest cost, I will start saying, my interest cost is very high. But have I, drilled down that interest cost from where it is going? Is it because of debtor days? Is it because my term loan interest rate is very high and I've been using the same bank for last 10 years? And that bank has not, given me any benefit on the interest rate. Can I just change the bank and actually get a 0.5% benefit? Even if you do that, that will also help you a lot, right? So is it short-term interest or long-term interest? If I look at short-term interest, then is it because of working capital? If it is because of working capital, is it because of parts, or is it because of demo vehicle, or is it because of my new vehicle stock? Or is it because of my accessories and lifestyle stock, right? When I look at working capital, also I need to look at debtor days. What is the aging within that? I also need to look at my creditors. Can I, squeeze my creditors to delay the payment cycle, right? So every financial KPI, you can drill it down to operating KPIs. And the moment you know that, okay, this operating KPI of debtor days, for example, is not helping me, then you can look at the process aspect of it. Then you can look at the KPI aspect of it. Then you can look at automating the way I'm managing my debtors, so that a daily report comes to you that, okay, these are my 10 debtors. This is where the aging is. And wherever, the aging is beyond 30, that comes to your eyes as a red flag. Then you know where to really look at as such, right? There are various levers. I think we've covered a lot of them, but another thing I just wanted to mention, how much are we? Sure. So these are few revenue, levers, few specific levers which, you can look at. Sales, after sales, value added services. We are not sure. I mean, it will be with FADA, but I'm not sure if they'll be sharing that with you.
Most of us are, I'm sure, must be doing, if not all, most of the points. So can we have something an industry benchmark? Because when we talk about our benchmarking, we are talking about our core dealer, which is constrained to a geographical boundary. But if we can have some industry benchmark, especially coming from nearby, like for an automotive industry, that will be a great, and that will be more helpful for us, I guess.
I think we'll exchange cards and I'll connect with you on that offline. Absolutely, absolutely. Because it's very sensitive data, and then the moment we publish something, then it is a sensitive data. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, here we cannot give a lot of numbers, but that's why I said we'll connect offline with you. Yeah. Yeah. I think few broad level benchmarks I've shared as we speak. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. These are few cost and productivity drivers, where your biggest costs are manpower, interest, rental cost, marketing, or few of your power and fuel admin cost. Again, few levers. Again, all of these are illustrative. They are not like, complete laundry list of things, that you can do. We have 5 minutes before we close. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Before that, I also wanted to bring your attention to your finance function. How many of us have a CFO? CFO, not a finance head, accounts head. CA Inter. Okay. So today we need to spend equal amount of time, or rather more amount of time, in grooming that personality in your dealership, because he's the one who will actually be your eyes and ears in the dealership. You need to ask yourself, is he just a scorekeeper today? Is he just a person who is managing my debit, credit, filling my GST returns, making sure my returns are filed on time? Or is he my business partner? Is it directionally helping me to, you know, maneuver my business towards the right path of profitability? So this is the old focus where people were just trying to have a finance and accounts head just to manage compliances and nothing beyond that. But you also need to now shift the focus of that finance function to be your business partner. Make sure they are part of all the critical meetings, because they are the ones who play the devil's advocate. They are the ones, I mean, a lot of times you might not be able to tell your sales head, no, I don't want to do that, but the finance guy will do the role for you, right? So I think this is another aspect I wanted to touch upon, because this person is the most critical person in their dealership. This is my concluding slide. I think as some of the key takeaways, it's important that the finance and profitability orientation is across the board. Your sales guy should understand what is the profitability he is making, not the numbers he is doing. Your after sales guy should come to you, this is the kind of money I've made for you, net of all my costs. I don't want to just listen from him, sir, itna parts becha, itna labor maine generate kiya. No. Tell me how much money you've made from a profit perspective. The moment you start asking such questions, if not today, 6 months down the line, you will start seeing the difference, because you cannot improve what you cannot measure. And this is the orientation that you need to make sure is across the board as such. Rest, I think a lot of that we've discussed already. And this is what I would like to conclude the session. Hope it was useful. But before that, if you have 2-3 minutes, Pradeep, we can take few. Maybe a quick question or anything from anyone.
How we will be getting help from Myanmar? You know our problem basically, where we all are stuck. But what, in which way and how can we get associated?
Friends, we'll get the PPT. I'll share with all you guys. You can take
Sure.
my number.
So
मैं आपको दिलवा दूँगा.
ENY can help us in directly coordinating with the dealers.
We, as I mentioned, we do work with dealer groups as well, and especially with dealer groups who are managing multiple brands, because that's where the levers that you can deploy are at a different level altogether, because then you can look at a lot of centralization, you can look at a lot of data monetization across brands, etc. We do work back with dealers as well directly, and it's also a success based, you know, thing as well. I don't want to come and just give you another presentation. I will be part of your implementation journey, part of your change management. I'll make sure that by the end I leave, the new ways of working actually become a habit of your people. That's where sustainability is important, because a lot of times OEMs take a lot of initiatives. It happens only for the time being, temporarily. Then, you know, the moment, you know, somebody then goes out, then it again, you know, goes back to square one. So that's where, you know, we also try and help. A lot of these interventions we do through OEMs. A lot of these interventions we do directly with dealers as well. So that's how we can help. And, you know, there are dealers today who are also thinking of how can I diversify? How can I get into additional ways of, generating revenues through the change in mobility ecosystem? Can I start a ride sharing, you know, business? Can I start a business from my airport to, you know, like a small city where there is an airport, but there is no standardized, you know, cab service provider? Can I take a fleet of 10 vehicles and I can start, you know, that cab service? That could be a basic pain point. So a lot of dealers are also thinking on those lines, which is not dependent on any OEM or their Apple, because it's not a conflicting thing that you're doing, right? So we will be very happy to help you, definitely.
Program for small dealers, if someone having 1-2 dealerships,
Mm-hmm.
single or 1-2.
We can discuss that.
For
Yes.
that, what was talking with this guy, like आपके शहर में, आपके town में, आपके state में, for some dealers can club together. And
They can club, and then it becomes, yes, absolutely. Okay, I'll hand it over to Pradeep. Hope it was useful.
I think it was one of the best sessions we had in this convention, and I think gratitude to Pratik and Parag from EV. And I can say that very good, I think, education and learnings we have taken from this session. And I request all dealers to get in touch with Pratik, and we can combine few dealers who are having single dealerships or double dealership आपके शहर में या nearby. So we can combine and have a business discussion with these guys.